so excited that you're here. My name is Monique Dunn. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and therapist and founder of Destination Therapy, which is a local, here in Houston, therapy practice where we serve busy professionals and couples. And I'm very excited because we have one of our clinicians here tonight, Tabitha Durr. And I'm also founder of Monique Speaks. This series, Tea Talks, is really just born from conversations and dialogues I was already having, right, with people in my personal life, friends, other moms, and then other clinicians, clients, followers on Instagram. So I feel like it's a combination of things that are important to us and I feel like deserved space and room to be talked about in this kind of setting. So I'm really excited to shed light on different issues and different topics. And tonight's a very exciting topic because we're going to be diving into a powerful and evidence-based approach to therapy, which everybody seems to be talking about these days. So we're going to talk a little bit about EMDR. So EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. And I'm really excited to be joined by Tabitha Durr. Welcome, Tabitha.
Thank you.
So I'm going to do your intro.
Okay.
I'm going to tell the people how great you are.
Please do.
So Tabitha Durr is a licensed marriage and family therapist and is the lead clinician here at Destination Therapy. Tabitha specializes in helping adults navigate anxiety, self-doubt, and relational trauma. And she's trained in CBT, ACT, DBT, and is an EMDR therapist. So we are really excited to have her here talking about it. And she integrates trauma-informed work, culturally responsive care, and she really values the connection between psychology and spirituality, which I think is like a very unique piece that you bring to our work here and into the healing process. So here's what you can expect for tonight. We're going to learn a little bit more about Tabitha, the work she does, and then dive into questions that you all had about EMDR. So this place, as a reminder, no judgment. We're here just to talk, to chat. This is not therapy. This is not a clinical seminar. We're just going to talk about this stuff. So let's get started with our first question. Tell me a little bit about you, Tabitha, and the work that you do in general with your therapy clients.
Yeah, so I'm really passionate about helping people address the areas that they feel stuck on in life and bringing in a compassionate and warm place for them to land as they figure out what does it look like to build the life that I really want to build. And I love doing that with people wrestling with burnout, perfectionism, relational trauma or a history of trauma. And I really enjoy integrating spirituality into that process because I think how we view the world impacts how we live out our day-to-day, and what we think contributes to how the world works is a big part of that. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And thinking about like feeling stuck, I think it takes a lot of bravery to start therapy or to go back to therapy when we're feeling stuck, because it means we've got to do the work. So it sounds like you've also got a lot of clients that are ready to do the work, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I tell my clients all the time, like, thank you for being brave today, because I think every session is an opportunity to be brave too and honest about what's going on for you and what you're thinking about.
And for us as therapists, I feel like it's such a gift and an honor, right, that we get to sit with people in those moments.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about EMDR. What exactly is it, and how would you say it differs from traditional talk therapy that people might think of?
Yeah, so EMDR is a model that's typically used to address traumatic memories, and would kind of argue that traumatic memories underlie a lot of the ways we might get stuck or find ourselves reacting to things in a way that doesn't feel congruent with who we are, right? I'm a really patient person, but as soon as my kid does blank, I can't control my temper, kind of thing. It would say, hey, let's address those memories, let's address those patterns that you learned somewhere, but it doesn't do it through talking through it and identifying how to create change day to day. It does it more by targeting those memories and helping you take the emotional zing out of them. That's the desensitization part, and then reprocess the memories into more of an adaptive network, more of a place where your brain and your body are kind of wired for healing. So I would say that like our brains are wired for healing. They want to make sense of these memories and consolidate them. And it's a little less talk-based. So you don't run through the entire memory. It's more you sit with it while moving your eyes or engaging in some type of bilateral stimulation, which we can go into more later. But yeah.
That's great. And I think for somebody that maybe has experienced trauma, but they don't necessarily want to talk about it in detail, this could be a really great option for them, and perhaps less intimidating, more approachable as a method of therapy for them. That's great. I feel like everybody's talking about EMDR at the moment. Like all these celebrities are coming forward and being like, yeah, I had EMDR. I think I saw Prince Harry was talking about it. Miley Cyrus apparently was talking about it. Jamila Jamil. So is this just some new trend or new fad, or is EMDR here to stay?
Yeah, I'd like to say it's stood more the test of time than a lot of people realize. It was really started to be researched at the end of the 80s, which we're coming up on almost 40 years now of this being something that was at least in the phase of, hey, is this a thing? And now it has decades of research and clinical experience of people using it to help people get unstuck from a variety of issues. But it started first as a trauma treatment model that was really effective with veterans struggling with PTSD, which I think can lend to, hey, if it's helping our veterans struggling with PTSD, and it's been researched to do that well, it's been researched to do it well for a while. So I don't think it's a fad. I think it'll be here for a while because it's been so effective.
It's here to stay.
It's here to stay.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it stemmed back that long. I feel like, you know, a few years ago, everybody was talking about CBT, and now everybody's talking about EMDR. So it's great to hear that, you know, there's been some years in the bank. This isn't this just new thing that's come out of nowhere. So can you talk us through what happens in a typical EMDR session? You mentioned words like eye movement and bilateral stimulation. Like, for somebody who's not a clinician trained in this, what does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So EMDR has quite a few phases to it. I think the one that you're probably asking about is like the reprocessing phase. So like when I get to the meat and potatoes of this, what's going to happen? But I want to rewind a little bit and say the first step is setting people up with resources that they can use between sessions or in sessions to regulate. So I want to acknowledge like it focuses on making sure people feel safe to process.
Safety is so important.
Before they process.
Yeah, and I think that's part of like what people think about of like, oh no, I don't want to go to therapy because I tried it and they brought up all this stuff and then I was just a mess and I didn't feel good. And that's when a clinician maybe has gone too fast and they haven't created that sense of safety, that somebody leaves feeling completely opened up and they don't have those skills and those tools. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. They don't have the skills, the tools. Maybe they're not even sure how to handle that conversation with their therapist. And hopefully in the process of building these resources, they feel ready to like share what they're struggling with or if stuff comes up later down the road. Yeah. Now, when you get into the reprocessing, I would say every session has a rhythm of checking in. How has it been going? Do we need to go back to some of those safety creating skills? And then jumping into sticking with a memory and following some type of bilateral stimulation. Sometimes it's tapping or things that vibrate in your hands back and forth. Sometimes it is a light bar you might watch, a dot on your screen if you're doing it virtually, or sometimes auditory back and forth. And what we're doing is it's just been found if you have stimulation back and forth on different sides of your body while you're recalling a traumatic memory, it helps your brain reprocess and consolidate it differently. And then you close out the session with, hey, how are you feeling? What does it look like to use coping skills moving forward? So there's definitely we're coming in gently and leaving gently rhythm to it.
That's amazing. It sounds really great. I want to try it for myself. I have some trauma to reprocess, so I think that it'll be something that I'll be able to speak to more once I've tried it, because I've read about it and I've read articles and I've heard you share as a team. You know, you talk to us about your training and work with clients, so I'm excited to see more. So when you think about EMDR, who can benefit from this therapy?
Oh my goodness, so many people. theory itself would say that a traumatic memory is kind of anyone that isn't processed properly, or isn't processed adaptively, right? And so I know that a really common use for, obviously, is for trauma, but also for people experiencing social anxiety, some with depression. Like, it's just useful for a variety of things, and can help people kind of make peace with things that feel like they're still lingering for them. Yeah.
I think when I first learned about EMDR, I thought of trauma. So I think it's great that you're sharing with people that it's not just for trauma. And then what we do in our practice is, let's say I'm working with a client that has like a specific thing that I feel like, oh, they could benefit from EMDR. Then we can refer them to Tabitha, and Tabitha can do, you know, a set amount of sessions to focus on that one thing. And I think that's something people don't realize too. Like, if you have a therapist that you love working with, you don't necessarily have to leave that clinician. I mean, I can't speak to every practice, right? But with us, like, you know, somebody could come and focus on that area with you and then come back to me, or do it at the same time, right? And so that's something for people, I think, to keep in mind, is that it doesn't have to be either or. Like, you can identify an area that you would like to use EMDR to process and go and do that, and still keep your other therapist, or go try someone new.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not gonna lie, some people think of EMDR and they think it's a little bit woo-woo. Okay,
Fair.
A little bit. So how valid is this treatment? Like, people talk about like doing the eye movement and like, are you hypnotizing me? Like, what's going on? It's woo-woo. So how valid is it?
Yeah, it's very valid. Like I said, it stood the test of time. There's some randomized controlled trials that have been done with it and found good results. But I agree with you. I definitely came in skeptical. I tend to be a little bit critical of things, and was maybe like, the first few times that I heard about it. But it's been really cool to see the freedom that unlocks in some of the things that I feel like can feel really stuck for people. And again, I think we've all butted up against things, whether it's in our personal lives or working with clients, that it's like, why isn't this thing moving? And it's really cool that it helps people break free from that.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've learned more about it and that you get to offer it to your clients now.
Absolutely.
So are there any like myths or maybe misconceptions about EMDR that you'd like to clear up while we're here, while you have the mic?
Yeah. I think I'd like to clear up the myth that it moves too quickly, right? We kind of already addressed that today.
You're just like uncovering the wound and it's too much.
And it's too much, right? Like, the process is built to not move too quickly. And sometimes that requires that check-in at the beginning and the end is really helpful for gauging that even along the way. I think also the myth that like you're just gonna have no idea what's happening as the therapist is doing it, right? Like, informed consent or consenting to it along the way involves some understanding of what's going to happen in your session and moment to moment. And so I just want to acknowledge that it's not something you're going to show up for on the first day and just be thrown into and be like, I have no idea what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so
it should be explained.
Yes.
You should be able to go slow, create that sense of safety, and go at your pace.
Yeah. Well, and to say, like, it does feel kind of woo-woo. Like, there are some things about the process that feel very not like anything else you might experience in life. And so it's important we go slow for that, but it's also such a cool experience to see how our brains are wired to where these things work. Yeah.
So it definitely requires an open mind.
It does, yes, it does. Even as stuff comes up in session, it requires just being willing to experience what comes up non-judgmentally. And that's a practice that some people practice along the way and get used to, which is really cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if somebody is thinking about, considering EMDR as their next step, what should a potential client look for if they're trying to choose somebody to practice EMDR with?
Yeah, so you're not going through the story bit by bit with your therapist in the reprocessing. You do have to give them some sense of these memories, like leading up to that. And you still might feel really big feelings in the room with them. So I would say someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel like you can or have built that rapport with, is really important. And it gives you the opportunity to feel a little bit more comfortable experiencing the whole EMDR experience with them in the moment.
I think with any type of therapy, like the relationship is so important, right? And that's something I always say in my consultations with potential new clients, like, hey, I know trust is earned, like you're coming in here, you don't know me, I'm asking you all these questions, but we start with this, like we build from here. And I think when you can really build a good foundation of trust and relationship with your therapist, then you're going to be able to trust them with these deeper parts of yourself, right? So yeah, looking for somebody that you can trust, making sure that they're not just saying they know how to do EMDR.
Oh, really great point. Yes.
Right, because not all therapists are created equally, and we want to make sure if somebody's claiming that they can do a specific modality, like it's okay to ask questions, like, did you do the training, right? There's different levels of certification and all of that, and at least making sure that they are actually trained, not that they've just read a few books, right?
Yeah, and I think a great question for that is, have you done the EMDR basic training? That's like the first step of training. And so if they've completed that and gotten their kind of like certificate of completion, then they have the experience to practice it. So that can be a helpful question to ask if you're wanting to know specifically.
Well, overall, I think you gave us a really good rundown of what EMDR is, why it's so popular, why Prince Harry and everybody's talking about EMDR all of a sudden. I think it's amazing. So if somebody watches this and they see you and they want to work with you, how do they reach you?
Great question. Well, I happen to work at an amazing practice called Destination Therapy.
Yes.
And we have a really cool self-scheduling tool on our website. So that's a great way. I mean, we have social media, we have our website.
Where are you licensed?
Oh, that's a really great point. I am licensed in Texas, Utah, and California.
Okay.
And I provide virtual services to all of those places.
So if somebody's looking to work with Tabitha, they need to reside right now. We can update this in the future if you add anything else to your list, but in either Texas, California, or Utah. And if you reach out to us and that's something you're looking for, we'd be happy to connect you with Tabitha or with another clinician in the state that you're in, right? We always try, if somebody reaches out to us for support, we always try and connect them with somebody, even if it's not within our practice, because it takes so much to get to that point of like booking or calling, you know, so we'll do our best to connect you. Is there anything else you want to chat about regarding EMDR before we close up?
I think I just want to do a final little, it can be a ray of hope for a lot of people who are trying to figure out what the next step is to address places they feel stuck in. And so if you're not feeling very hopeful, it's a great option.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us tonight. And thank you for joining us for Tea Talks with Monique Speaks. I feel like this was a really important conversation about EMDR therapy. So I appreciate you, Tabitha, sharing your expertise and your knowledge and your warmth and your passion, as always, about this. And of course, thank you to everybody who is supporting this Tea Talk series. We love your questions. We love your contributions. If there's other topics you want us to cover, please let us know. You know, healing takes time, but support is always available, whether it's us or somewhere else. You know, I encourage you, if you're feeling called to do the work, take that as a nudge, you know, to reach out for help.